Greetings. Well, what can I say about today? Today I've been humbled, brought to my knees, and lifted to the skies. Been taken to so many different places in my heart and my mind and my spirit. So many ways. Today I spoke to, I don't know how many students, 12 students, 15, 20 students, I don't know, it was all a blur. But they were all amazing, and they were all so inspirational, each one of them. I spoke to them on behalf of the patient story. I gave the patient story. I spoke about my very positive perspective of treatment through cancer from 2010 right up to the present day. I wanted to get behind some of the cliche words that are always spoken, that are always put within assignments, that have to be placed within assignments, otherwise you might lose points, like patient-centered care and holistic care and spiritual care. What humbled me was the feedback I got. All I did today was simply speak from my heart. Not from my mind. Oh, that really would be crazy. I told you I got some screws loose. But through the wonderful work of Susanna, my cousin Becky, and the senior lead, Angela, particularly through Susanna and Becky, two of the third-year student nurses who I spoke to. Well, I spoke to one out of the two, unfortunately, today. But I know through the work of Susanna and Becky, I will speak to other students further along the line. It has been inspirational, it has been humbling, it has been incredible. It is, as Susanna very cheekily turned round in her feedback to me on Facebook, it is my drug of choice. These podcasts are my drug of choice. Speaking to students one-to-one, in small groups, in larger groups. I've spoken to 200 students, I've spoken to 12 students. I speak to you. For you to take back just one thing from my life. If it's just a phrase, a word, an expression, for you to take back to your practice, whether you're a nurse, a student nurse, a carer, or a student doctor, or even a consultant. Gosh, will these podcasts get to such higher echelons? Whoever knows. Dr. Simmons, Peter Simmons, I hope, one day. It was the feedback that I got back that was the most humbling. They call me inspirational. They call me amazing. They call me all these things. But like I've said before, I am and will always be just Gina. And just Gina's good enough for me. Good enough for God. Good enough for my husband, my kids, my nearest and dearest friends. But as I said, most importantly, for once, good enough for me. Unfortunately, when I got back to pick up my prescription, that wonderful, amazing, fantastic care came crashing down. Total lack of communication, total lack of competency, total lack of, complete miscommunication meant that I had to stay in all day yesterday waiting for my blood results, only to be told at 4:15 that my blood results were fine and I was able to take my drugs. Whoopee! I live the other side of town and the pharmacy closes at 5 o'clock. Now, do you think I can get from Woolston to the counter to SGH by 5 o'clock? 4:15? No. So I had to wait until today. So after my amazing, wonderful time with the girls at Bournemouth University, coming back by train, I picked up the car, went to Southampton General, expecting just to walk straight in and pick up my drugs, just like I'd done previously. But no. They haven't even been prescribed, let alone dispensed. Why? Because one consultant hadn't spoken to the pharmacist, or one junior doctor, or one senior doctor, or whoever it was, hadn't spoken to whoever it was that needed to be spoken to, that needed to do the dispensing, that needed to hand it to me. It really doesn't take a genius to work out that when you have positive result of a good result of blood tests, you take the piece of paper to the pharmacist, you get it dispensed, you put it in the fridge, and you pick it up the following day. That's how it works. Not at Southampton General Hospital, it doesn't. So I'm afraid I got rather upset, and I sent a very stinging message to the secretary down the phone. I was very tired by this point. I had just come from very high up and inspired and amazed by Angela's company and speaking to the students, and come crashing down to absolute exhaustion. So I'm afraid Dr. Simmons' secretary got it right in the neck. Not her fault by any means whatsoever. I won't say whose fault it was, because they'll say it wasn't their fault, and they'll all go round in circles. But you cannot expect a patient to do your work for you. Me to be ringing around everybody, making sure everybody is doing their job. I had enough of that with the pensions agency. I do not need that with the pharmacy and the oncologist. So please, can we have some better communication from one oncologist to the pharmacy, to the secretary, to everybody else? Because us patients are very vulnerable. And when we need to start taking our chemotherapy tablets, I'm not talking ibuprofen or paracetamol here. These are chemotherapy tablets that need to be started to be taken. These are pretty heavy duty stuff. So can we have some better communication, please? Okay, whinging over. I will say that the secretary came to the pharmacy, spoke to me face to face and apologised, shook my hand, and we all sorted things out. She took the time to come and apologise to me face to face. I've had no apology from any consultant by phone this evening. I did say moaning over, didn't I? Oh yes. So today has been inspiring, humbling, but also a time of a lesson to be learnt as well. I'm sure I'm repeating myself a dozen times, as somebody will mention. But lessons need to be learnt. And gratitude needs to be spoken. Thank you to the guys at Bournemouth University. You have fed me, you have medicated me, you have given me a life, you've given me more breath and more enthusiasm and more passion now, simply by being yourselves. Like I said in the lecture, if you will, simply by being yourselves, you have given me enthusiasm, passion, and a smile. And I'm the patient. Thank you. God bless.